You're wondering if you should start TRT. Maybe your buddy hopped on and said every single guy above the age of 40 needs to be doing TRT. Or maybe your doctor ran a single test, saw 350, said, you're in range, see you next year. Or maybe he even wrote you a script without asking you a single question about how you feel, but the dose is wrong, the protocol's wrong, and 6 months later you feel worse than when you started. Or, and I've actually seen this, maybe you're considering taking your wife's birth control to tank your levels so they're low enough to qualify. Yes, guys actually do that. But here's what all of those men have in common. They're making one of the most significant health decisions of their life completely blind. Because the question isn't, is my number low enough? The question is, are you functioning the way you're supposed to? And do you know how to tell the difference? That's what this video is all about. I'm Jimmy Mackey, founder of Catalyst Transformations, and I've worked with hundreds of guys on this exact question. And today I'm going to give you the framework to figure out whether you actually need TRT, and if you do, how to start it the right way. All right, so to give context on why I'm recording this video is, should I start TRT is probably the most common question I get asked from any of my clients. And it makes sense, right? Because most of my clients, they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s, starting to not really feel the way they used to in their 20s and 30s, don't have that same oomph, that same drive anymore. So, maybe one of their buddies hopped on TRT and they're like, oh, it's life-changing. So they start considering it. They're working with me. They ask me, what should I do? And so I had to dive deep and learn a lot about this topic so I can freaking answer that question. And what I found is that most guys, when they start down this path of considering TRT, the first thing they do is they go to their primary care physician and they run labs. I've got no qualms with that whatsoever. I think that's the right first step, the best first step there is. But most PCPs aren't experts in hormones. They're not like hormone replacement therapy doctors. So what they do is they just look at the normal range, 300 to 900 nanograms per deciliter, and say, hey, if you're below this, here's TRT. If you're above 300, you're fine, dude. See you next year, right? The problem with just looking at it like that is, first, there's a very big difference between normal and optimal ranges on blood work. So normal just means you fall in line with 90% of the population, right? And so if we take 90% of the population, obviously it's just men, but this is of all ages, even people in their 80s and 90s, right? They should have low testosterone. And then also the average person is not very healthy. So if your goal is to achieve optimal health, optimal body composition, feel the best you possibly could, it doesn't make any sense at all to compare yourself to the average person, because the average person is not healthy, is not optimal. So that's the first reason why it makes no sense. And the second reason it makes no sense is because testosterone is very much a symptoms game, not a numbers game. How do I mean by this? If you look at two different individuals, and I'll just use people from my anecdotal experience, from my personal experience, one of my good buddies, his testosterone is in the mid 300s. He's jacked, he's energetic, he feels great, he's always in a good mood. He's functioning perfectly at 350 nanograms per deciliter, which is low testosterone. On the other side of things, I have clients who are in the mid 600s who feel like absolute shit, and they got their testosterone optimized to a better number for them, and now they feel night and day difference, completely different. So if you just look at the number, it doesn't really mean anything, because there's so much individual difference between what an individual needs their testosterone levels to be. Some people thrive at very low numbers. Some people need it to be very high, even sometimes twice the normal reference range, to just feel like themselves. This is the first place to start. Do you have symptoms or do you not have symptoms of low testosterone? Common ones, obviously, morning erections, libido, energy drive, anxiety, brain fog, overwhelm, body composition. Do you have any of those symptoms? Yes. Okay, maybe it's time to look at blood work, see kind of what's going on here. If you don't have the symptoms, why even care, right? And so the caveat there, though, is that some guys have had these symptoms of low testosterone for so long, this just feels like they're normal. So they don't even know they have the symptoms, because they've just gotten so acclimated to how being suboptimal feels that they don't think they have that. So sometimes you really need to think back of like, okay, did I feel much better in these areas before this or not, right? And another side note is, you don't need to be in a dark and desperate place to start TRT, in my opinion. I don't think you need to be like unable to have sex with your wife, or haven't had a morning erection in 10 years, or, you know, completely overwhelmed and anxious and have zero ability to recover every day to consider TRT. If those things are just suboptimal for you want them to be, and you want to feel way better than you do now, I think that's a completely valid reason to consider TRT. But let's say, for example, that you do have symptoms, that some of the ones I just rattled off, and you want to consider TRT. The first thing I would recommend you do, and I'd be doing you a complete disservice if I didn't say this, is look at your lifestyle first. This is going to sound ridiculous, what I'm about to say, but I can't tell you how common this is. There are so many guys that will jump to, I have low testosterone, I need to get on testosterone replacement therapy, and they haven't even looked at their lifestyle. They're like, I'm anxious, I have low energy, I have no motivation, my testosterone must be the issue. When they sleep 4 hours a night, they eat like shit, and they haven't seen the inside of the gym in 2 decades. It's like, come on, dude. Like, no wonder you feel like shit. It's like you're not doing the things that make you feel good, right? And so that's where you need to have an honest conversation with yourself of, is it actually low TRT, or am I just not doing the things to take care of myself, right? And this is important, one, because if you go into TRT with the expectations that it's going to solve all your problems when you have real work to do, and it doesn't solve any of your problems, you're going to be really disappointed, and you just started a commitment that is potentially lifelong, that is potentially a monthly recurring expense for you, and it didn't even solve any problems when all you had to do was the free things: train, eat better, go outside, sleep, right? Second is, if you have a poor lifestyle and you do get on TRT and you're not fixing your lifestyle, the symptoms that can come along with TRT are going to hit you, and they're going to be much worse. Testosterone, it aromatizes to estrogen, which just means it turns into estrogen, okay? If you're at 10 to 15% body fat, you sleep well, you eat well, you train hard, the chances that it over aromatizes to estrogen, it turns into too much estrogen, and you get the symptoms of that, such as gynecomastia, you know, the puffy nipples, mood swings, feeling like too much water is on you, it's going to be really low that you're going to get those symptoms. However, if you're 30% body fat, you sleep 4 hours a night, you eat like shit, you don't train, chances you get that much higher. Additionally, some people get like sympathetic overdrive from testosterone. If you're not sleeping well, of course, that's going to hit you way harder than if you're sleeping very well, getting morning sunlight, managing your stress levels, so on and so forth. And so a caveat or a side note there, though, is there are some people that are so down bad when it comes to their testosterone levels that they have completely no motivation. Anything to do with improving their health or doing anything, frankly, is just so overwhelming, causes them so much anxiety that they can't do the things they need to do in order to achieve a better lifestyle. This is a very small percentage of the population, but it is a very real percentage of the population. So if you are that guy, don't beat yourself up saying, oh, if I can't get my lifestyle locked in first, I don't deserve the right to do TRT. It's like, no. Do the TRT if you need to. Get the motivation back, get your anxiety under control, start executing on the things you need to do, and do them in conjunction, the TRT and the lifestyle changes. But for the very large majority of people, you either need to fix lifestyle first to see if you even needed TRT to begin with, or if you just needed to fix your lifestyle, or at the very least, fix lifestyle in conjunction with the TRT. I would recommend fixing the lifestyle first, just to see if you even want or need the TRT to begin with, though, okay? And so that should give you insight into how I think about this, but I want to give you a very usable framework, a decision tree, if you will, in order to really think through this step by step. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, do you have symptoms of low testosterone? If you don't, problem solved. You don't need TRT. You can click off this video, but like, comment, subscribe, do all those things before, and thank you. I'm joking. But if you do, and what are those? Those are morning erections. They're weak or gone. You have low or zero libido. You can't build muscle despite training consistently. You have no energy or drive. You're just going through the motions every day. Brain fog, anxiety. Everything feels overwhelming. You have really poor recovery from life. You feel burnt out every Friday. If you have any of those symptoms, like 2, 3, maybe more, then go on to this next question, right? Next question, question 2, is your lifestyle dialed in? And so what do I mean by this? Are you sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night consistently? Same morning wake times and bedtimes? Do you train 3 to 4 days a week with progressive overload? Is your nutrition dialed in? You have adequate protein, whole foods 80 to 90% of the time? Your calorie target matches your goal? Are you managing stress? Do you get more sunlight at all? You're not operating in a chronic state of fight or flight? Those are all questions you need to ask yourself to get real about what is the fundamental issue. Is it just my lifestyle's not there? Or is it, do I actually need TRT? So if yes, your lifestyle is dialed in and you also have the symptoms, this is when I would say consider TRT. You know, your lifestyle is supporting high testosterone, yet you still have symptoms and your testosterone is not where it needs to be. That's a signal that something biological is broken and you might need exogenous support to get it fixed. If the answer to that is no, my lifestyle is not dialed in, move on to question 3, okay? Question 3 is, do you have enough energy and drive to fix your lifestyle? If no, you don't have enough energy and drive, before hopping on TRT, I'd say, rule out other variables first, such as thyroid dysfunction, severe insulin resistance, nutrient deficiencies, sleep apnea, any other health condition that could be really, even mental health condition as well, that could be really harming your energy and your drive to fix your lifestyle. Rule those out first, right? You don't want to fix a problem that's not even the real problem. But if you have genuinely ruled all of those out and you can't function enough to fix lifestyle, I'd say consider TRT at that point to give you the capacity to get started, knowing you will need to fix your lifestyle along with the TRT, okay? So that's no, you don't have the energy, you don't have the drive to fix your lifestyle right now without TRT. If yes, you do have the energy, you do have the drive to fix your lifestyle, fix that first. Give it 4 to 6 months, genuinely dialed in with habits, sleep, training, nutrition, stress management, morning sunlight. Potentially add some foundational supplements like zinc, vitamin D, magnesium, creatine. See what that does. If 4 to 6 months go by, you haven't seen a noticeable improvement in your symptoms, that's when TRT really makes a lot of sense, okay? And so that's where we get into question 4. Did fixing lifestyle fix the symptoms? If yes, no TRT needed, problem solved, you did it. If no, that's when you consider the TRT. You've done the work, your lifestyle supports high testosterone, and yet you still have symptoms. That's when this really makes the most amount of sense to explore hormonal intervention. To summarize everything I just discussed here, don't let your doctor make the decision for you purely based on you just being below 300 nanograms per deciliter or not. That's a terrible way to go about fixing your testosterone levels. Normal ranges are a complete joke. Optimal varies from person to person, and symptoms matter way more than a number on a lab. If you do have symptoms, ask yourself first if this is this a lifestyle issue or is this truly a biological issue, right? If lifestyle is broken, fix that for 4 to 6 months, generally dial that in, reassess. If lifestyle is dialed and you still have symptoms, or if you're so low you can't even fix lifestyle without support, that's when TRT becomes the answer. TRT, just so we're very clear here, is not a replacement for the foundation. It's not going to fix all your life problems. If you have mental problems or lifestyle problems, those are the issue. The TRT is not going to solve everything for you. It's not a magic pill. It's really a big lever for how you feel day to day, your body composition, your overall health, but it's not a magic pill, okay? The goal here is just to feel the way you're supposed to feel. Energy, drive, mental clarity, body responding to training, performing at your peak. If you're not there and lifestyle alone isn't getting you there, that's where TRT is a very viable solution for you. So where do you go from here? So first, I'd say, rewind if you need to, run through the decision tree yourself. Do you have symptoms? If your lifestyle dialed, can you fix lifestyle first, or do you need help to get started, right? If you're unsure and you don't know where to turn, a bunch of really good resources on even YouTube. Dave Lee TRT is a great resource to learn more about this. If you want to get connected to our medical team who can handle this, a link is in the description below. But look, this video is not meant for you to self-assess your own testosterone levels and fix them yourself. You can't do that in 10, 15 minutes or however long I'm talking. I cannot give you all that education. This is meant to just give you that fundamental education and how to spot someone who does know what they're talking about, because there's so many people out there who will just put you on suboptimal protocols that will frankly make you feel worse than just not being on testosterone. These are just called the basic TRT mills. They'll just give you a super simple protocol: inject yourself once a week, XYZ amount. Here's an aromatase inhibitor. Here's XYZ. They don't really give a shit. And this is really not how you optimize your health. You need to educate yourself on, how do I find someone who is really an expert in this? If you don't want to go through that, link in the description to D&G, that's our medical team. Obviously, you can book a call with me. We can talk about this a bit further. Totally up to you. But I appreciate you watching this video. Hit subscribe if this is valuable. Like this. Drop a comment if you're on TRT or you're considering TRT. And let me know if there's anything testosterone related or TRT related that you'd like to see more content around. That really helps me with creating new ideas for new videos. Cheers.